Essential. Okay, it's 8:33 a.m. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and we'll jump right into things here. We've got a lot of great content to share with y'all. And I'm excited to do that. So just give me a moment. I'm going to set up my screen. All right. So quick note on our points of focus for this morning's call. We're going to talk briefly about our third grade team and some of their efforts led by Ms. Johnson and Ms. Hawley. We're going to talk briefly about the Cavalier Fund, what it is, why it exists, and sort of how it's funded. And then finally, you're going to have the opportunity to hear from Coach Reed, our athletic director, to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that we are pursuing after school at Atlanta Classical. All right, so I've been talking about this throughout the year, that our purpose this school year was to bolster our work in literacy and numeracy, in particular in the lower school. You of course know this. We've launched a new explicit phonics program this school year called Literacy Essentials that our team has been working tremendously hard to implement. We've done more training than we ever have before, both sort of at our faculty meetings after school and then before school began this summer, and then also on Wednesday mornings, trainings led by Ms. Teeple and Ms. Adams. And so, the second part of this was our focus on Singapore math, which is sort of our unique approach to mathematics at Atlanta Classical. So what I wanted to spend a little bit of time today doing was just sharing some results from the first half of the academic year. We've been carefully measuring student performance relative to last year using the measure of academic progress, the MAP test. This is a nationally normed exam that you all actually received a report on, I think, following the end of the first semester about your particular child. What I have here today is just aggregated data that shows how our students in the lower school in particular are performing, again, relative to last year's cohort. And the results really are impressive. So what I've got here is first our math results. So again, a focus on K6. On the left side of the screen, you see our fall 21, winter 21, and then spring 22 results set against this year's academic results. So for instance, our kindergarten class, the average student tested at a 151. This is a MAP score at the beginning of the year in mathematics, and by winter was at 159. Whereas this year, our average student tested at 152, and by winter was at 160. So you see there's sort of similar levels of growth there. But in aggregate, as you sort of go comparing class to class from fall to winter of this year to last year, we saw on average a 5-point gain from last year's group. This year's group, we saw a 9-point gain, which is really tremendous growth. Our students on average are well beyond sort of the national mean for performance, which means that you can usually expect that growth would actually be smaller for those students, right? If you have a student, say, in the first grade who comes in and tests at the fourth grade level for mathematics, you don't expect to see the same level of growth as if they have tested on grade level. They're just growing sort of incrementally, but at a slightly slower pace. What we've seen this year, though, is tremendous growth fall to winter. Again, we saw 9 points on average compared to last year, which was 5, which is the strongest growth that we've ever seen in our time at Atlanta Classical over a single semester. Again, this is about math performance, in particular, K6. And I attribute so much of this to the work that Ms. Teeple, Mr. Hahn, and all of our lower school teachers have done, kind of giving unique attention to our student performance in math. This gives you perspective, the same thing, but sort of shown a different way. This is winter achievement last year relative to this year, but it shows our median percentile relative to the nation. So on the right side, you see our first grade classes in the 76th percentile, nationally 73rd, 78th, 75th, 74th, and 75th. And in every single category except for one, you see that we've actually improved that median percentile relative to last year. I'll give you a moment just to kind of look at this slide. the blue that you're looking at is sort of distinguished performance. Green is proficient performance. Yellow is a student who is probably on grade level, but is someone that you need to pay attention to. Orange is where we're starting to kind of respond and to remediate, and red is a student that we need to respond to directly. So to take a look at our literacy performance, we're seeing similar results. So again, in the fall of last year, our average kindergarten student was at 147. By winter was at 154. Similar performance this year. But once you start getting into first, second, and third grade is again where you see a dramatic shift from this year compared to last. Our average growth fall to winter was 5.75 points. This year, fall to winter, it's 9.5 points. And this is because of all of the training, all the support that folks like Miss Adams have been able to offer our lower school teachers, but also their efforts. This isn't a mistake, right? This didn't happen, I think, by accident. It happened through kind of careful, strategic, intentional work that looked like thoughtful training over the summer, but also just sort of careful reflection on how we use data as a school. This is probably one of the first years that you've sort of received individualized, personalized map reports for each of your kids, that you've had teachers that were ready to kind of actively dialogue with you on how your students were performing. And we're really excited just generally about the kind of growth that we're seeing from our students. This again is the same slide as you saw last time. It shows our median percentile relative to last year. So our first grade is at the 83rd median percentile. This is for our reading scores. Last year they were at the 71st, and so on. Again, in pretty much every single grade, I think except for one, for the second grade in this case, our median percentile performance is much stronger than it was last year. So I share this in part to just celebrate the success of our team, to celebrate the success of your children. We know that this happens because we are invested in their growth, we're invested in their improvement, and you all are as well, right? I hear from so many teachers who are in dialogue with parents who are just interested in supporting what their kids are doing at home. One of the initiatives that's been underway this semester in the lower school especially is an effort just to improve, to expand the amount that our students are reading at home. I know in our third grade classes, and this sort of transitions us into a third grade highlight, Miss Holly's class in particular has been having a competition to see how quickly her class could get to reading 100 books in a single month. Again, this is reading that happens outside of the school day. And they completed this, I think, by last week. So this is her 27 students read over 100 books. Again, this is reading that goes beyond what they do within the curriculum. And every day she does this thing called the status of the class, where kids just stand up and give a really quick report on what they're reading outside of school. They give a quick summary of what they've been enjoying, and then they sit down and the next student does it. And what it does is just sort of create this almost this positive competition among the class to be constantly reading and to be improving their literacy, again, outside of the hours of the school day. Their prize for reading 100 books was the opportunity, and I'll say this made me a little uncomfortable, but it was the opportunity to pie Mrs. Holly, right? To take like whipped cream and put it in her face. We have a video of that Miss Holly shared with me, so I'm gonna grace you with that. Hopefully my technology works here. Other things that our third grade team's been working on. Third grade is sort of the end of our explicit phonics program. It's the culmination of it in a way. It continues into fourth and fifth grade, but third grade is really the high point. At this point, they've mastered their 72 phonograms. They're continuing to do weekly spelling lists. In third grade, we're also beginning to think more and more carefully about reading comprehension. It's at second and third grade that students transition from learning to read to reading to learn, right? You're no longer simply trying to kind of identify what words mean, put them together, but you can actually sort of improve your own education simply by picking up a book on any subject and reading it. And so a whole new world opens up to our second and third graders, which is why we wanted to encourage them to do as much reading as possible outside of the school day. I don't think that anything leads to growth quite like just reading at home can. In math, our students are currently working on building, comparing fractions. I don't know if you all remember doing this as children, but this is famously one of the most trying aspects of any person's education, encountering dealing with fractions for the first time. So our third grade teachers are bravely doing that work. And then in the realm of history, the curriculum, again, is robust as it is in so many grades. They begin with ancient Rome, which is a subject that they've studied before. They do the Vikings. They study the native peoples of North America, which is such a rich study, particularly in Georgia, where there is so much Native American history. They do a unit on the exploration of North America, and then finish the year by studying the 13 colonies. All right, I'm going to pause sharing my screen here to show you the video that Miss Holly shared with me. I think that you all will enjoy this. Hopefully you can hear it. Coach Reed, if you can hear it as I'm playing this, just give me a thumbs up. Last time I went through the whole video and then learned at the end that no one could hear it. So just let me know if you can hear this.
Yeah. Oh.
Can you hear this, Coach Reed?
No.
Man, I don't know what's wrong with my computer here. Can we hear it now?
Well, it's a little bit, but it's jumping. It seems like it's buffering actually.
Okay, it's running perfectly on my computer, so I don't know what
it's running perfectly, but it's I can't hear it.
The sound is not working.
Yeah.
All right, well, we're just gonna have to watch it for now. This is the whipped cream challenge. I could narrate for you. There's a lovely jazz tune playing, if you can believe me. Some kids seem to enjoy putting the pie into Mrs. Holly's face more than others. There are a few kids that really rub it in, though most are very gentle. This guy was gentle, as was she.
I can hear the music a bit now. I hear it.
All right. Thanks for sticking with me here. All right, I'm going to go back to our regular scheduled programming. So I talked about this last week. I wanted to spend a little time today addressing the subject of our Cavalier Fund. Obviously, we just got through one of our biggest fundraising events a couple of weeks ago with our ACA auction. This is one aspect of how we raise money for the school. But I want to talk about what the Cavalier Fund is in particular, what it exists for, and why it's important that ACA actually is kind of always in the work of raising funds beyond what we receive from the state each year. So first to the question, why do we fundraise? The very simple answer is that public funding isn't actually sufficient to cover the activities that go beyond the school day. So when you think about athletics, fine arts, field trips, clubs, those aren't things that we receive funding for. And so we need some other mechanism in order to support all of those efforts. Another thing that distinguishes a charter school from a conventional public school is that we are 100% responsible for our own facilities, right? So most public schools, when they come online, when they are initially founded, they are given a school, right? 20, 30, however many $1 million it might take to build a school. That is something that they have right off the bat, right? This is something that they just sort of begin their existence with. Whereas at charter schools, we're responsible for actually raising the money, not only to build that institution in the first place, but then also to sustain it, right? All of the work that goes into keeping our facilities running, keeping our HVAC live, making sure that our boiler works, whatever it might be. At a conventional Atlanta public school, there are teams that are doing that work that just sort of come as part of your affiliation with the district. Charter schools, on the other hand, are responsible for the maintenance of their facilities and also their creation in the first place. So this is the reason that public funding is insufficient, right? Public funding exists to cover everything that happens during the school day, and we do receive sort of generously from APS what we need in order to educate students, to pay our teachers. But it's everything that happens beyond that, and then the building itself that requires us to fundraise in order to close that gap. So these programs, facilities expansions, major improvements, community events, teacher appreciation, financial aid, that's just to name a few things, are all funded by donations, in addition to participation fees, grants, and events that the PTCA puts on. So this slide here gives you a little perspective on sources for funding for our general fund. Again, this is where money is collected that sort of goes to support initiatives that happen outside of the school day. And then the slide to the right shows you how that money is used. So the biggest source of funding for our general fund is you all. It's fundraising. In addition, we do collect fees for students that participate in athletics, students that participate in fine arts, etc. And on the right, you then see how that money is used. So the biggest chunk of that pie does go right back into athletics, right? So if 13% of our funding for the general fund comes from athletics, we're investing 33% of all the money that we receive from the general fund into athletics to make those programs strong. You can kind of go left and right here and see fine arts accounts for about 4% of our funding from the general fund, and 6% of what we actually spend. So this is to give you a little bit of perspective on where money is coming from and then where money is actually spent. This kind of presents it a little bit more cleanly. The charter fund, right? This is, again, the money that we receive from the state. All of that goes to the day-to-day operations of the school. The biggest chunk of all goes to teacher salaries, whereas the general fund supports fine arts. So these are programs like theater, strings, piano, the Creative Cavaliers, the dance ensemble. It supports athletics, where we have to pay to rent every field, to pay coaches, to pay referees, trainers, equipment. We've put a massive amount of money toward our senior trip in order to reduce the price for all students that participated. I think the average cost of the senior trip was cut in half because of money we were able to contribute through the general fund, through various clubs that we run after school, through field trips that we offer. One thing that we are really proud to make available to our faculty is stipends for graduate school. That's also funded by the general fund, and then financial aid. So how we fundraise, there are a couple different sort of efforts that we are sort of taking steps within in order to fundraise. The first, the main one, the one that we talk about the most, is the Cavalier Fund. This is the primary mechanism for raising money for the school. There's also the auction event, our business partners, loyalty programs with local businesses. There are student fundraisers. There's a capital campaign, which, of course, the capital campaign is not currently live. And then finally, the last mechanism for fundraising would be grants that the school is applying for. And then finally, there's the 2014 Circle. This is a group of families who make leadership level gifts of $2,000 or $14 or more each year. This is a group that we always honor at the end of the school year with a special campaign celebration. And a little plug here, if this is something that you're interested in joining the 2014 Circle, all gifts do have to be received by April 15th of this school year. Pledges must be paid by June 30th. So this gives you just a quick bird's eye view of where we are this school year with our Cavalier Fund in particular. Our goal for this year is to raise $400,000. Currently, we've raised about $320,000, and you can see what our grade level participation is from kindergarten through 12th grade. Our highest rates of participation currently right now are with the first grade, the second grade, the sixth grade, and the 10th grade. And on the right, you can see our overall kind of school participation numbers. Our hope is every year to reach 100% participation. And in these final months of the school year, there is always a push on our part to encourage folks to get involved in this. When we talk to donors, particularly those outside of the school, one of the first things they want to know is what percentage of your board, what percentage of your faculty, and what percentage of your families are giving to the institution. They want to be part of schools that want to invest in themselves. And so it's really important for us to get these numbers up, essentially, not just for the bottom line of reaching $400,000 as our yearly goal, but for making our school as strong as it can possibly be, for being able to show institutions and also ourselves that we are deeply committed in making this place excellent. Which sort of takes us to our little competition that will happen between now and the spring. Every grade level that hits 75% participation will receive either a pizza or an ice cream party this spring. This is to create a little pressure. Your students might be coming to you, begging you to make your gift so that they can enjoy a pizza party or some ice cream. Again, the goal here is not necessarily the number. Participation is what matters to us. So whether you're in a position to give a lot or a little or whatever that might mean for your family, the really important thing for us at ACA is to see each of our families engaged as they are able, no matter the size of that gift. So this transitions us nicely into Coach Reed's part of this presentation. As I showed, athletics is probably the most significant portion of where our general fund money is going. And we are really proud of some of the growth that's happened in athletics over the last 9 years. Coach Reed and I have been working really hard together to make athletics excellent at ACA. So I'm going to turn things over to him here to kind of take this call to its conclusion. So Coach Reed, I'm going to give the floor to you.
Thanks so much. Appreciate you guys and giving me the opportunity to be able to speak with you in regards to the success that and the navigating that we go through during the season. But sometimes when you're in it and thinking about providing this experience for our 6 through 12 graders, you don't give yourself as much grace as you should. But this is a perfect opportunity to express to you guys our gratitude, but also what you guys mean so much to us as a community, as a school, and look at how far we've come from. For me, this will be my 5th year making this transition, and I remember with us starting from humble beginnings and starting small to see where we are now and how we've expanded from the past couple of years and where we're going. So we have some exciting things on board. So basically here, this is a small part of allowing you guys to see where we were then and where we are now. And as you can see, from 2008 to now 2023, the sports that we've offered in 2008 was cheer, cross country, soccer, and basketball. And basically, in comparison to now, we've doubled, almost tripled the amount of sports that we support for 6 through 12 graders. So before, we had 1 cheer team, 2 cross country teams, 4 soccer teams, 4 basketball teams. Now we have the same sports, but we've added golf, baseball, swimming, track, and volleyball. I mean, if you look at these numbers, we have 6 teams for volleyball. For swimming, we have 2 teams. For track, we have 2 as well. Basketball, we've added a team, and we have 1 team for golf. So we've almost tripled the amount of sports that we have. And talking a little bit, actually, we'll get into the facility. So next slide. Then and now, in regards to participation, this is very important because we can host the right amount of teams, but our goal is to provide that quality support for our young people. And I'm hoping, if your child is from the age of grades of 6 to 12, they're participating in some type of sport, and that's the goal in teaching healthy lifestyles. From 2018. We had about 15 girls who supported our cheer program, 60 for soccer. It's basically just breaking down the numbers of teams, 22 for cross country, 48 for basketball. In comparison to now, double, 20 cheer, 7 golf, 56 basketball, 30 for track, 70 for volleyball, 70. Think about that number, 70 participants for volleyball, 70 young ladies that are playing volleyball, 10 for swimming, 14 for baseball, and 66 for soccer. So these are numbers that are astonishing when we're talking about quality programming and providing for our young people. Talking a little bit more about participation, over 50%, and it's probably higher. I had a conversation with Mr. Sheps in regards to our numbers. We have 219 students who participate in sports from 6th to 12th grade. I thought it was 400. I think it's about 370. So over 50% of our young people are participating in sports. That is huge. So every other student is participating, and we're not even talking about the feeder and clinic opportunities for K through 5th grade. So those are awesome numbers. Next, huge thing in supporting programs and talking about quality programs in sports, we have to have the places that allow our kids to be able to express their talent. So before we had 3 locations that we used, now we almost tripled as well in supporting those students. If you think about the scheduling, the being able to provide those spaces for our young kids to play, 2 hours to allocate the allotted amount of time, from golf all the way to, you know, soccer, as you can compare both sides, man. It's just an amazing opportunity to be able to collaborate with these facilities as well, and not just rent from those places. Scheduling, these are the things that you guys may not see. These are the things that are behind the scenes that we go through. So obviously there's sports on our left, and, you know, we go, for us, our goal is to basically format a schedule where we can go quarterly in regards to making sure this schedule is situated. So this is just the day-to-day stuff that you guys don't see. We have to have the right amount of buses where our kids go. So 100 kids go out, 100 kids go in, making sure and ensuring that everyone is safe, man. But behind the scenes, as you can see, this is our winter to spring schedule, which is our busiest time because we have most of our sports in the spring. Soccer, basketball, all intertwining. So this is our hectic schedule, but we try to make it work to the best of our ability. And talking about transportation, which is huge, as of right now, we have 5 vehicles. We have 1 charter bus, which is a 14-passenger vehicle. We have 4 vans for vehicles. All coaches have to be verified in regards to safety. That is our first priority when it comes to supporting our children and our young adults. In regards to our drivers, our coaches, background report, NVR, motor vehicle reports, driver license is submitted. Hey, Ms. Sue, it's submitted to Ms. Sue for her to be to make sure that she approves it. Coaches transport students to and from games and practices. And if we have a busy day, we have a charter bus in which we use. Here is just a day in the life for practices. For locations. So every day or every Monday or Sunday, we actually go behind the scenes and say, okay, these are the places where these kids are going. So around 3:30, we start to prepare our kids. 3:45, we should be off to our destination. We will arrive hopefully around 4:15, depending on Atlanta traffic, and we'll practice until 5:30 and arrive back around 6 or 6:30. That's just the day-to-day things that we do. When we go to like Hammond Park or Westminster and different places like that, and ensuring that these kids are safe. Next is a huge part in which Mr. Andrew actually touched on, and thanks so much for you guys' support. And what the Cavalier Fund means so much for us is basically like the lifeline. But in regards to athletic fees, parents would, you know, ask, hey, you know, what does the athletic fees, you know, cover? And I remember having a conversation with a parent and telling her what they cover. And she was like, Mr. Reed, she couldn't believe it. She wanted to actually add more to the athletics fee. She said, how can we help out? Because the bulk of the athletics fee covers the facility. You know, we rent out every sport. We rent out every, you know, we have to pay for the facility. You know, it also pays for athletic trainers. At any home game that we host, we have to have an athletic trainer on site in regards to safety, like I said, which is our #1 priority. Obviously, the refs we have to pay for. Our conferences, we have dues for our middle school MAC conference and our Georgia high school conference as well. Our coaches do get paid in regards to their stipend and equipment, and also league fees as well. And on the right, you'll see a little bit in regards to what we pay for the facilities. We use Atlanta Jewish Academy 4 days a week, Hammond Park. We use Family Life Center, and also Westminster for swimming. Golf is major. Anytime we go to practice, for 12 kids to participate in golf, we're paying up to $300 per session. So, and also track with Westminster as well. Next slide. I'm trying to make sure I didn't miss anything in regards to, no, next slide, please. Continue. Okay, so if we was to break down middle school and high school, it ranges, and obviously golf is the one-off, which is $550, and baseball is the one-off as well. But for middle school, Our fees are $250. For high school is $450. Our goal for middle school is to practice and play 4 days a week. In regards to the fees, it covers the uniform, the upkeep of it as well. Transportations to and from practices is usually a 3-month to maybe 5-month season when you come to winter. For our coaches and players, if you think about, how our coaches are so valuable, you say, if you look at the hours that they put in based off of what they get paid through stipends, just know that our coaches love what they do, as you can see for yourself, that bottom part. But it's important to have the right people in the right situations and people loving what they do. In regards to our priorities, man, we're working behind the scenes and putting together a team that we can scout about working to identify and adding a gym, adding one more baseball field, soccer field for our next season as we expand. This year, we're actually utilizing 2 fields amongst 4 teams. So we know that, eventually, with kids coming in and more participation, that we're going to need these facilities to be able to support these young people. Our goal also is to develop that traditional structure of having a varsity team, JV team, 2 middle school teams, and a development team to be able to create that pipeline. But also, in our season, as you know, I have some high school parents on here as well. We have sometimes our 9th grade who are playing up. So we want to have that traditional setup where those kids can get that experience as well. And also excited to working behind the scenes and getting this schedule together. So now we're actually almost complete with our fall and winter schedule. So as you can see at the bottom, sharpening schedule in consultation with our master schedule to forecast any conflicts and improve communication. So for those who are on Team Snap, they'll see the updates that we're making for our next season, the 24 season. Man, this is the fun stuff here. So despite all, other things that we go through and navigate and not having this and not having that, man, salute to these, student athletes who never complain. They come in, they work hard, they work behind the scenes and they embody our vision and goal of our virtues, man. But our highlights, championships from 2018 to now, our varsity girls soccer team, they won a championship, a state championship, state champs. Middle school boys, we started 3 years ago. They won a championship as well for the Dunwoody League. Our middle school girls soccer team, they almost in the Final Four, 4 to 5 last, couple years, and they won a championship as well. Cross country this year, our varsity girls state champions. And if you think about the state appearances, most of our high school teams have participated in state appearances: cross country, volleyball, track, and basketball. So just excited about where we're going. Our goal is to provide that quality experience, and we want these kids to have fun, and they're competing. So I'm just excited and proud, of our people. And again, thank you guys so much. Shameless plug: if you do have K through 5th graders, you can look on My Payments Plus or the Legenda and sign up for clinics that are coming up right before spring break. Thank you so much for your time, and hope to see you guys at our home games. Go Cavs.
Thanks, Coach Reed, for that really thorough presentation, and to all of you for sticking it out until 9:06. We went a little long today, but I had a lot of content and only gave Coach Reed a short window. So thanks very much for your attention. I'll see y'all in a week.